Al pie del Ávila majestuoso, a 920 metros sobre el nivel del mar, en un valle de verde geografía que se abre de este a oeste, surge Caracas, la capital de Venezuela.
And now, our feature presentation.
You are watching a master at work.
Go get some!
What's good, everybody? Raf in the building, Capitán Rafucho, and welcome to another episode of The Combat Club. It's a podcast with 100% extreme attitude. In this club, we are born to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. And right now, I'm doing like a late night show because I know this Saturday is going to be very explosive because of the boxing weekend between Beterbiev versus Bivol, and of course, the UFC Fight Night on Seattle, which is Cejudo versus Son. So I might be short as fuck, but it's going to be like a short program. So here it comes. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Capitán Rafucho, on the way to 15K subscribers. And of course, you can follow me on every social media at ads as now as Twitter, Instagram, Rumble, TikTok, and Twitch. Now, to be honest, right now, to the fight night on Seattle, I mean, there's like certain things that we need to talk about it. I mean, there's like a lot of representation from Brazil, United States, even from Australia, some parts in Europe, but yes. So we're going to the main card because we're going to preview the UFC Fight Night on Seattle. We got Brendan Allen versus Anthony Hernandez. Because some of those guys, they might know this. Anthony Hernandez is like a little bit slow to get going, but he will be wrestling his butt off for like 15 whole minutes and does not tire. In a way, he's actually better than Marov in some ways because his grappling top position is actually very decent. And once he was ragdoll for like 10 minutes, just like this one, and it feels like wilting, he has an arsenal of submissions that he will look to set up. Or he just find like a rain down the strikes from there. But also, Brendan Allen is a very high level grappler. But it does like a lot of collets, and respectfully, they just largely came for the work he does for the top position. Pause. But also he has some really impressive grappling performances like Kevin Holland, Christoph Jocko, Paul Gregg, Andre Muniz. But he gave like the platform to achieve those things by winning the wrestling battle, and they're finding their position. But Allen's grappling can be neutralized for the superior wrestlers. The most obviously example was the last time against Narzadina Mavu, who fell like a victim to an earlier takedown. But then stuffed 9 into a row. I mean, round 2 and 3, basically, they consist like fishing for headlocks, having successfully sprawled an alien before consistently like that position and having a decent amount of control time while they try to get free from the sprawl. If that really happens, Allen is interior wrestler to Hernandez. He has the interior gas tank. So he does like a takedown or two, where I don't think it's going to be able to maintain the position. And they show up like did all for like Foreman wins. It is going to be too near to land across 15 minutes. And of course, there are some areas that Allen can explore with this fight. But to somehow find us on the feet, I believe that Allen could be like a superior striker. and probably wins the time spent there. So I know it's gonna be really interesting, but I would love to see. Well, I would love to see William Brandon Allen. I mean, he just covered all the grappling aspects, so he has a lot of cardio to make like the American will to be tough. But I'm going with Brandon Allen. Next up, we got part of the fighting nerds, John Silva versus Melsik Bartisian. Now check this out, folks, because I'm on the high level right now because I know that I'm a fan of John Silva. Because you don't want to mess with Brazil. Because Brazil, they got the best women's, the best fighters in MMA, like Alice Pereira, John Silva, Caio Borrario, Mauricio Ruffi, even Anderson Silva, Royce Grace. I mean, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is another level. And yes, do not fuck with Brazil, motherfuckers. But check this out. John Silva is one of the hottest prospects in the UFC at that moment. I know it's been off for a bit, but he just put him back together, back-to-back wins against Charles Jourdain and Drew Dober in the span of 2 weeks. Absolutely insane feat. He's one of those frontmen of the fighting eras, which obviously, like the gym people, are very excited to build like dangerous fighters and game planning them well. I know his striking is just a lot of crazy, blended out with pressure and power. It's suffocating to watch, but the fact that he did to Drake Dober, who is really a hard hitter with the Grand Chin himself, it makes Sting as a real force to be recognized if you're forced to strike against him. But his grappling defense also it looks pretty decent. But they got to face against Melsik Bahadrosran, which is a kickboxer for Armenia. That's not really done a lot at the UFC. It's become very inactive that the names of the record have become completely irrelevant. But there's going to be like a big difference in firepower. If John Silva can land a Melsik, I think those shots are going to be worth to the Melsik return. But also there is like an angle that Silva could look grab him. If he wanted, I thought it was going to be like the plan A. But they know they got a potential start on their hands with John Silva. And conversely, Melsik is just like a annoyance with the frankly takes a couple of years off few fights because anything can happen in the MMA. But I wouldn't be surprised if John Silva comes on struck. Because I know that as soon as you get on with the car, you're gonna play too much hard. Pause. And I know that my bet is on John Silva. Second round, knockout. All right, next up, we got Alonso Menifield versus Julius Walker. Now, Alonso Menifield has been always like a mystery fighter. Very gigantic, which doesn't make it look unique and tricky opponent to face. But it's already showed us like those limits enough times. It's coming back-to-back finishes in the span of 4 months. That could be a great idea, isn't it? But between Julius Walker and some people doesn't know about who the fuck is Julius Walker. Now, Julius Walker makes his UFC debut. He sits and 0 with 3 of these wins coming against people with losing records. That's a damn straight record. He does have a win over veteran Devon Lewis. That is not saying too much. All those wins in under 7 minutes in a typical light heavyweight fashion. There's no evidence of him going for the distance. But I gotta tell you for this one, if Julius Walker could be like the Nets John Jones or the Nets Dennis Tululi, probably is not have an idea, but they're gonna find out. And some people that just wanted to like I don't know, passing it out because I've been seeing a lot of persons betting on that one. But I think that Julius Walker can make like a starstruck debut with a knockout, maybe or submission at the round number 3. I would love to see that. I would love to see that, to be honest. I mean, no doubt. All right, so the next top, we got the main event. Ladies and gentlemen, Henry Cejudo versus Son Yodom. Because this is going to be like a changing of guard, isn't it? Probably not. Now, Henry Cejudo is now 37 years old. That's simply too old to be competing at 135 pounds. He's facing a Song Yadong that is a whole decade younger than him, but he's had a lot of experience, literally the same number of UFC fights, because this is gonna be like one of the biggest fight of his career. But actually, he's more ready for that, because I found very difficult to know how to truly feel about like that fight, because there was like a couple red flags, and they're all related to level of competition and age. These two are intangibles. They're very hard to dismiss without blind faith, because they cannot prove with the eye test. Because on the other hand, it's really expected that Henry Cejudo could be watched or not, or at least declaring rapidly enough of this chapter of his career as nothing more than eternity. Phil Swanson, because if you guys remember, he retired in 2020 after defeating Dominic Cruz, but he returned 3 years later to lose 2 fights in a row to the former and the current champion. With all those things true, they encourage someone to putting all the bets on Yadon there. I mean, Cejudo still won against Marav and arguably beat Aljo. So there's going to be a lot of evidence to see before you declare a fight who's going through it. But I don't think that Cejudo decline is evident enough to objectively declare incapable to beating a step down to the competition like Song Yadong. Because if the Song Yadong of 2025 fought the Cejudo of 2020, Cejudo has at least like 100 pounds, and this should completely win, because Yadong has shown us that he's capable top 10 guy. Could be elite, could be not. But he couldn't beat Pedron over 3 rounds. His winning before that was like against Ricky Simon that fell off of the cliff. He lost to Corin Sanhagen before that. But I don't see that anything for Song Yadong that proves he deserved to be on that weight. So mostly, if the people want to be scared of the cardio or even the grappling, striking, I don't think that's very safe that it should go like at a longer distance. And that fight either is unlikely, because obviously if they want to see like at a lot of performance about fate, but they gotta be really stepping it up. Because if you want to see Cejudo wins, you just made like a smart play. And they took like a risk, because he looks like an old man, but you can be disappointed or surprised at all. Just what I'm saying. Just what I'm saying. Hey, how's it going, Slim Fits? Salute to you, and shout out to the 3 persons right now on Nets and 0 persons on YouTube. I know this is a late night show edition because, well, formerly I was just trying to contact with Zion, my co-host, and then Lou for the G Nation Inside Sports, but unfortunately, yeah, it just went down. So we just wanted to move out to the next week. Well, if we got, because I understand that some persons they have busiest weeks. I understand about that. But it came a long way to prepare how many weeks to have to go prepare somebody about special episodes to talk about boxing, UFC, everything. So, yeah. And of course, after talking between the UFC fight night, also they got the boxing weekend preview, which is like the second part of Beterbiev versus Bivol, the last crescendo, which is going to be on Saudi Arabia. And I'm going to tell her about this, folks. This is going to be like absolutely cinema. Absolutely. Because could be anything, but that should be like the easiest win to be bought. Because they're going to be expected a lot more. Expected a lot more. Because I know the biggest fight of 2025 is going to be very massive. As opposed to Beterbiev and Bivol, they're trying to win the undisputed crown. in a more dominant fashion. And shout out to Raider Transplant Angelo, who sent me the information. And if you guys want to see like all those fights at the last crescendo on the zone, it costs you $25. The pay-per-view. It costs $25. I'm not kidding about that, folks. I'm not kidding. But check this out. Bivol, it was like the favorite last time. But the rematch happening that soon, because after the first case scenario, is the activity important for this age? Had they taken all the way down and said to fight too much, that would happen the best case scenario. But it's going to be very hard or very easy to pick a winner. If Beterbiev it's overnight, he could be loose. Otherwise, he could still like get the win if don't make the right adjustments. But Arthur hasn't fought since the beginning of the last year before facing Bivol. It still beat him, coming out for a stoppage just 3 months before for the first fight. But also Beterbiev had surgery and was recovering while Beter was active. But also looked very gas in those last rounds. I wouldn't be surprised at all because Bivol tries to produce more power that time, but he realized he cannot overpower Beterbiev, slowing himself to like halting rounds 8 to 12 and giving Beterbiev a greater advantage to the last fight. We all know that Bivol is smart, skill enough not to say his one spot that he gets hurt, and Beterbiev is not going to chase after him and throw like 35 punches in 30 seconds. Give it like the knee issues and the fact youth isn't on set. We will just have it enough time to recover. They have more punches and take more risk to impress those judges. But if the people that just wanted to pick Beterbiev, because the judges tend to count dismiss punches, and remember this, guys, because the first one, it became so controversial. That's for the judges. Because it reminds me, Patrick Mahomes giving like a lot of kisses to the referees, including Travis Kelce at the Super Bowl. Yeah, we all know about that. But I think for the aspect that many are looking for Bivol to win, because he has to take a bigger risk. That means a bigger chance to beat the Beterbiev by knockout. It's easy to say, land more big shots, big time. But that's precisely what gives like a bigger chance. And who knows? We'll play exactly right to the first fight that is very close to getting to beat. And I know who was really tough as nails. At the first fight, you can see around here than Beterbiev. But I think that time is going to be an attempt to play even more to a decision victory. But they might know that someone that has those guys, they want to feel the pressure. And this is going to be really exciting for many of us, for many of the boxing fans, many, because Beterbiev has the edge on power with a perfect knockout record. While it's more technical and it's got a lot of defense, it's a really tough call. But I will say Bivol can win, like an easy win to a knockout. Because if they go into the distance, there's another possibility defense holds it up. But who could take out the fight? Because Bivol can really improve more than Beterbiev will. But the easier last time they will be in the game. And despite it being like at a 40-year coming off an injury, they think that Beterbiev is some kind of invincible machine when it comes to clear what his power was there. I mean, that speed wasn't there. Because I know the scoreboards that way that we've all let go the gas for the last 3 rounds. Because we don't know if it's tiring, injury, or just misjudged. And because I think it was like the way he's just standing there blocking Beterbiev with punch around 10, because I believe that. Even Turkey was racing to say, what in the actual fuck are you doing? Because they didn't have it in a long time to see. It was like several times to see how it got involved this. I mean, that could be happen a lot. But it being really like difficult to win a decision while Beterbiev is now less ran and could considerably wear it out. But decisively, is the people that just wanted to see a lot of great things in boxing. I mean, I know it's the last crescendo, but if you guys wanted to see like a lot of fights coming out there, I mean, I was surprised at all. I'll be a lot of surprise, to be honest. All right, so after that, I was doing a review between the boxing weekend and the UFC fight night. So remember the last live stream that I just made this morning, this Friday morning, talking about biggest changes at the UFC. So I'm gonna recap what missed it. Boom, there it is. For the UFC 314, it's gonna be live on Miami at the Casella Center. It's gonna be on April 12th. So they got 5 fights confirmed. They have Nikita Carrillo versus Dominic Reyes, Geoff Neal versus Carlos Prates, part of the Fighting Nerds, Jair Rodriguez versus Patricio Freire, as known as the Pitbull. Because if you guys know the Pitbull, it's going to be really insane at this UFC debut. Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. And believe me, guys, this is going to be like a show stealer fight of the night. Between Jair Rodriguez versus Patricio Freire or Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. What are those fights? Could be like a show stealer. And Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez for the vacate title bout. Because if you guys know that Il Topuria has vacated his title because he just wanted to move another direction because he wants to fight so bad against Islam Makhachev. So it's not about anything personal. It's not about injury. It's because Il Topuria, he wants to step it out from the new level. Also, for May, they're going to bring back the UFC in Canada with 2 fights. So check this out. They have Belal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena on Saturday, May 10 of Montreal, Canada. And they got Shevchenko versus Fiorot for the women's flyweight title bout. Those are going to be in Montreal, Canada. So there's 2 fights has been confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. I mean, between April and May, before summer came in, spring is going to be like a lot of bangers. Banger after banger after banger. Pause. But you know what? This 2025 is going to be really huge for the UFC. Some fighters could be retired, but some prospects could be on the highest level ever in the entire world. At the entire world, because trust me about this, guys. This one is going to be absolutely cinema. Absolutely cinema, ladies and gentlemen. And all right, so we got the schedule for this boxing weekend because they got the last crescendo on Saudi Arabia. So check this out. So the main card is going to be started at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So they got Joshua Buatsi versus Colin Smith, Shilin Shan versus Ali Kabil, Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Israeli Madrigal, Carlos Adams versus Hassan Shiraz, Shakur Stevenson versus Josh Pedley, Martin McCall versus Joseph Parker, Artur Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol. So there's going to be around 6 p.m. Eastern time, which is the main event. Beterbiev versus Bivol. And I understand that one of my brothers, Genius Inside Sports, including Wells, is going to cover the main card of the last crescendo, Artur Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol, the second round. And for those guys, the schedule for the UFC Fight Night on Seattle, yeah, I know they got the schedule right here. So first and foremost, they got the preliminary card, but it's going to be exclusive for ESPN Plus. They got light heavyweight Modestas Bukakas versus Rafael Cerqueira. For the middleweight, they have Nerso Ribol versus Eric Mike. On catchweight, they got Nikolai Bertrand versus Austin Badford. In bantamweight, Ricky Simon versus Javi Basharat. In middleweight, Mansour Abdul Malik versus Nick Klein. On featherweight, they got Andre Fili versus Melisikel Costa. Light heavyweight, Ion Kuntalaba versus Ion Aslar. And for the main card, they had the light heavyweight Alonso Mainfield versus Julius Walker. In featherweight, John Silva, part of the Fighting Nerds, against Mosik Bayishkan. On catchweight, they have Rob Font versus John Matsumoto. In middleweight, Brendan Allen versus Anthony Hernandez. And for the bantamweight bout, Henry Cejudo versus Son Hyunton. So the preliminary card starts at 6 p.m. Eastern time, which is like the same time for the main card of Beterbiev versus Bivol. But the main card is going to start at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So it's going to be like a great schedule for the boxing, the UFC, and everything. So basically, it's going to be really, really explosive. And of course, the last team before I shut this down, this live stream. So they make it official. During for the latest episode of Friday Night SmackDown, guess what? The WrestleMania is coming back to New Orleans. It's going to be on April 2026. Yep. And of course, because this year, WrestleMania is going to Las Vegas for the first time. And then for the next year, they're going to bring him back to New Orleans. That's like one of those fewest times that we see New Orleans hosting a WrestleMania. Yep. They're just hosting it out for the WrestleMania. But you know what? I mean, that should be really happen. Because, look, I know the first time that held it at New Orleans, as known as Louisiana, because the first time it was WrestleMania 30, April 6th, 2014. Because if you guys remember WrestleMania 30, because they got a lot of superstars, including amazing upsets, surprises, everything. Because if you guys remember, not only Daniel Bryan shut down the haters with double championship, winning against Triple H, Batista, and Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship. And when Daniel Bryan defeated Triple H with Stephanie McMahon, that will be added for the World Heavyweight later that night. And also we got the Shield, which is Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins for the first time ever on WrestleMania. John Cena against Bray Wyatt in a single match. Cesaro became the winner of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And one of the most viral moments ever in the whole history. Brock Lesnar broke The Undertaker's streak, which is unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Because that was like the first time that WrestleMania held up in New Orleans, Louisiana, at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. And then they came back in 2018, WrestleMania 34, which is like absolutely insane, but some of those fights became like, I don't know, very sloppy. And of course, overrated. And shout out to Mr. Meds, as known as Mr. Snarf, and Mitch Kowski, and all those wrestling community, Place Radio. I mean, everything. But you know what? Between for the WrestleMania 34, I mean, we just saw Matt Hardy winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, Jinder Mahal, Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. I mean, that was it. And of course, some people didn't notice The Undertaker just defeated John Cena by pinfall, which is like absolutely like out of control. And then they got Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Yep. The whole storyline of Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns became so much painful to watch. Because if you guys see the WrestleMania 2015, 2016, 2017, I mean, in 2018, I mean, oh my God, this is going to be like out of control. You see that? I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, it really hurts a lot. And of course, WrestleMania 42 is going to be on April 11, 2026, and April 12, 2026 at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. So they just confirmed during our latest episode of Friday Night SmackDown with a special guest, Dwayne Johnson, as known as The Rock. And for some people didn't know about this because the last time that WrestleMania held it in Las Vegas, which is basically in Paradise, Nevada. Yeah, Paradise, Nevada. It was like in the Caesars Palace on April 4, 1993. That was like the year that I was born because, I was born in August 1993. But if you guys remember WrestleMania 1993 at Caesars Palace, Lex Luger, The Undertaker, Yokozuna, Hulk Hogan, Doink the Clown, Razor Ramon, the Steiner Brothers, Tito Santana, Mr. Perfect, Giant Gonzalez, Jimmy Hart, Samu Fatu, Bach Backlund. I mean, wow. This is going to be like a great time to be alive. And I'm not kidding, folks. I'm not kidding. All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to head out right now because I know that I'm really tired. And I understand that some persons, they don't want to see me live streaming, doing things like MMA, boxing, wrestling, also football and basketball. But this weekend is going to be off the chain because not only I just wanted to talk about Raiders, talking about who's the best fit on free agency, and of course the draft. Because I know that I've been trying for so much, because I know that some things can happen unexpectedly. Because I know that last night it was my little brother's birthday. He just turned out 14. Yeah, he just turned out 14. So happy birthday, Gustavo. Happy birthday. And I was trying to be like really hard on this one. But you know what? I mean, some things came unexpectedly, but you had to try to do something, but you gotta keep going. You gotta keep going on and going on and going on. So you don't want to lose that faith. And of course, salute to Red Ray, Severe Raider, Protect the Shield. And before that, I was doing the Combat Club. I was getting heat up a debate by the one and only Gravy. Yep. And we always know about, because I just went with Jay and Jeff, as known as Just Raiders, baby. And you know what? It was just like a great experience, to be honest right now. I mean, to be honest right now. But look, this weekend is going to be very explosive. I'm going to be talking Raiders at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. We're just talking about who's the best fit on free agency and draft again, because some people, they don't want to like me to talk, but I know that I had the best fit, because I know the first try, because I know that I live in North Carolina. Yeah, I know that I live in North Carolina, and there's like a lot of snow, and then boom, the internet just went down. And then the second try that I just like, well, something unexpected, because they just wanted to sing the birthday song. So, yeah. And of course, there's going to be like the third time. So I hope I'm not going to miss that one. So I hope that I'm not going to miss that one. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to do the episode number 36 of Combat Club with your host, Capitán Rafucho, as known as Ref in the Building. And I really hope that the next week, me and Zion, the co-host, we're back in action for the next week. I know that this week has been a lot of busier, and for some reason, I mean, I just planned that episode along with Zion and Lou, the G Nation Inside Sports, are talking about boxing, but some things, it just really happened. But you know what? We should try to like the next week if we got it. So help us, God. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to tell you, have a great night. I will see you there later at the morning. And of course, you got to check this out at 9 p.m. when I'm doing the UFC watch party reactions between Eris Cejudo versus Son Yadon. And this Sunday, I'm bringing back the NBA play-by-play and commentary on Spanish. So as to say, good night, have a great weekend, and of course, in the words of my co-host Sonia Zenit, let's get it. It's been another episode of the Combat Club, a podcast with 100% extreme attitude. It's a club where everyone can join, but in this club, we're born to fight. Anytime, anywhere, anyone. So salute to y'all, and I will see you there in the next time. Peace out.